purpose of conducting school corporation business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated by the agenda. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the School Corporation Central Office. Now call our meeting to order. We begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please stand. A moment of silence prior to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. We have everyone present this evening, which means we have a full quorum. Mission statement, Mrs. Hutchison.
Lebanon Community School Corporation will cultivate and reach every student by influencing and enriching their lives through the power of education, and will do so in a positive and safe learning environment.
Thank you. Item 2, I'll now open an additional hearing for appropriations. Mr. Dennis.
Good evening, Ms. Keith and members of the board. Tonight we'll be having an additional appropriation hearing, and I promised that I would keep these straight. This is for or related to our 2022 GO bonds that we'll be issuing here shortly. And the purpose of this hearing is to appropriate the funds that would be received through the 2022 GO through the projects that I've outlined through the meetings that we've had thus far. This meeting was advertised in our local newspaper here, the Lebanon Reporter, and prior to the resolutions that are a part of the additional appropriation hearing, we do need to turn it over for any public comment that has signed up to speak regarding the usage of these funds for these projects as we've defined them.
Okay. We have no one signed up to speak, but if there's anyone here in the public who would like to speak on that, raise your hand. Okay, no comments from the public?
So in that case, we will go ahead and move forward with the first of 2 resolutions, the first of which would be the additional appropriation resolution. Again, we normally appropriate funds at the beginning of the year as a part of our normal budget process, but since these funds are not approved, nor are they required to be approved by the Department of Local Government Finance, we do have to then approve a resolution to appropriate these new funds for the 2 projects that we have defined that the 2022 GO will support. So at this time, then, Board, I would ask for your approval of the resolution set forth in your board packet as Exhibit A.
Okay. Board, I'd like a motion to adopt the additional appropriation resolution as outlined by Mr. Dennis and also the details provided in your board packet.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments on that? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, and the second and final resolution as part of our additional appropriation hearing is the final bond resolution. And in this resolution, this will establish our amount to be borrowed, which is the $3.5 million, our maximum term of repayment and maximum interest rate that we could issue these bonds under. It will also contain a variety of details about the bond, including the form of the bond, as well as the form of the registrar and the paying agent. So at this time, I would appreciate a vote on the final bond resolution, Exhibit B.
Okay. Board, I'd like a motion to adopt the final bond resolution as outlined by Mr. Dennis.
Make a motion.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Item 3, approval of minutes for our September 20th regular meeting. Like a motion to approve those, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 4, certify executive content. We also met an executive session on September 20th for the discussion of collective bargaining and also talking about appointment of a public official. So, Board, I would like a motion to approve to certify the executive content of that meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Questions or comments on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 5, superintendent announcements and celebrations.
Thank you, Mrs. Keefe. Good evening, members of the board. First item is just to thank our students and staff for a great first quarter. We are actually into our second quarter now, but since we've met, and thank you all for covering for me in my absence at the last meeting. We have been finishing up the first quarter and wanted to thank everybody for their efforts. Also want to offer some congratulations to some athletic feats that happened over the last month. Our boys soccer advanced to the finals of the sectional. Our girls soccer had an impressive first round sectional victory. It also showed some exceptional sportsmanship. You may have had an opportunity to see some social media posts, et cetera, on the gesture of sportsmanship our girls displayed against the game against Speedway. We also, the girls also received recognition from the IHSAA for that and received their sportsmanship pin. So congratulations to them for not only having a great run and a great season and a great win, but doing it with class. So we are very impressed with that and thank them for that, and the coaches, of course. The boys and girls cross-country teams advanced as teams to the IHSAA Regional that took place last Saturday, and happy to report that Aiden Frost and Marshall Royal for the boys will be representing Lebanon High School at the semi-state this coming weekend. So congratulations to them, and we look forward to more great things from them. Now I'm going to step away from my space because we have a couple special recognitions. I'm going to go over to the other area because we have some gifts for our guests this evening.
Very nice.
Should be obvious to all of us that we cannot function as a school district, as a high-performing school district, without the efforts of our community and our volunteers. And most recently, Mr. Levine made us aware of our own Mark Arrington, who was recognized by the Indiana Athletic Directors Association, District 3, as a volunteer or support person of the year to support the athletic departments. Mr. Levine put a nice write-up that you'll have in your packet about Mark, but it's hard to list everything Mr. Arrington's done for our program. Works the sports, the scorer's book for both boys and girls basketball. He'll drop anything at a moment's notice to fill in when someone who's supposed to be there isn't there. We can call on him. Has been a great liaison to the local media to celebrate the accomplishments of our students. 22 years, I believe, something of that nature that he has been. This is a long overdue public recognition for a gentleman that really kind of epitomizes the face of Lebanon athletics, and we're proud to honor you tonight and congratulate you. So come on up. Let us properly do that. So appreciate everything that you do for us. We have a little gift for you as well, but if you'd like to introduce anybody who's here or say a couple words, you're welcome to do so.
Okay. I do have my wife here, Esther. Now, I didn't graduate from here, but she did. A long time ago. You know, it has just been wonderful here. I'm 75 years old, and I still plan on doing this as long as I can. And I got to work with Steve Smith. It was great. What, 5 or 6 years, wasn't it? Yes, it was. It was great. And the Beltrans. Yes, we had great times. And I like working with Phil. He's one of the best ADs we've had here. And I worked for 5 different ADs, I think. And he's been here the longest of all of them. I love this school. I love everything that has happened. And I really like Trey, too.
Somebody, let's get a photo. Come on up. Let's get Phil up here, too, for that. Thank you again. Thanks. Mr. DeBard, you want to come on up? Mr. Josh DeBard, unless you live in a cave around Lebanon, know that he advanced to the final 3 in the state of Indiana for Indiana Teacher of the Year. And while we certainly congratulate the official Indiana State Teacher of the Year, we are, in my eyes, looking at the Indiana State Teacher of the Year for his efforts. When Josh was honored in front of the students at the PEP session, he, of course, as good leaders do, they're humble human beings, gave all the credit to his colleagues for raising the bar for him, making him a better teacher. I think everyone that was in attendance knows that he raises the bar for those around him, and has done that since he was here. I remember Josh was one of my first interviews as superintendent. Right, you're like the 3rd hire that summer. Mr. O'Rourke made me aware. I finished up with Mr. DeBard and said, "So, does he have any other offers?" Because I mean, when you know you have somebody that strong, you want to move very quickly. And I remember distinctly Mr. O'Rourke saying, "I just got off the phone with the department chair at Lawrence North High School," where Mr. DeBard was teaching before here, and said that the department chair, when I told him who I was interviewing, cried. It's like, "Oh no, don't take Mr. DeBard," right? So we knew, obviously, in that moment, our instincts were correct. And you've certainly more than lived up to that. So it is a very rigorous application process as part of the Indiana State Teacher of the Year. There's a very extensive packet. There's a lot of writing. There's an interview process that they're not allowed to bring any resources to. Has to be completely off the cuff for the Q&A. Had to prepare a speech and then a Q&A to get into the final 10, and then up, of course, to the final 3. But we're super proud of you. And would you like to introduce your family and maybe say a few words?
Thank you. I want to first thank you for that first interview. Meant a lot to come home. I also did not graduate here. Graduated on a school down 32 that we won't mention, but my wife did, my mother did, and I do think anybody that's grown up in this community here or there knows it's really all the same place. So truly mean it. Got to come home, and that's been phenomenal for my personal life and everything else. I've got my father Darren here with me, my wife Hannah, sweet daughter Isla, and my mother Yvonne. Very special moment for us, and looking forward to a long career here. So thank you.
It's a great place to finish. Great. Come on up, family. Let's get a photo with you.
They're all yeah. Josh is awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you both. That was a little bit long for the superintendent's announcements for good reason this evening. That's all I have.
Dr. Milliman, can I mention one thing?
Please, go right ahead.
The marching band also has advanced to the
Oh, thank
ISMA
you.
State Finals, which will be on their class on Saturday.
On Saturday, thank you for mentioning that. Yes, they moved forward one more time in their new venture into a re-entry, I should say, into the ISMA arena and full-time ISMA competition next year. So super proud of their work. That's been a long season for them to go through state fair and then all the way in through the field show. So congratulations to them. Thank you for mentioning that.
If I could interject one last time before we move on, I know, but I owe an apology. I incorrectly gave credit last month to the vape detectors, or regarding the vape detectors, and those were provided by the Boone County Cancer Society. I spoke incorrectly and gave credit to, I believe, the American Cancer Society, but what I have learned since then, that was actually a matching grant also from the Boone County Community Foundation. So those two organizations matched and supported us, and as previously mentioned, that school down 32 with some help with these, and so I needed to apologize for misspeaking there and correct myself and give credit where credit was due.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you for mentioning that.
And they have, several of them have been installed since the last meeting as well. So
And it's always okay for announcements and celebrations to be long. We like those.
yeah, that's right.
Yes,
especially
there you go.
especially the celebrations. Right?
Always.
It's so great. Thanks.
All right, thank you, and our congratulations as well. All right, moving on to informational items. We have a construction and renovation update from Gibraltar.
So, yeah, to reach that level Final Three, and the passion and commitment it takes every single day with those young people. So that's great for Lebanon Schools, and congratulations for that. Tonight is a program update, or what we would call the program milestone, and I believe Dr. Millman gave you a 8x11 summary, executive summary, if you will, snapshot. Let me just start by saying thank you, Gibraltar Zion, Meyer Najum. We really appreciate the partnership with Lebanon Schools. Over the last month or a month and a half, your principals have been giving of their time in meetings, and Dr. Millman and Mr. Dennis have also been in these meetings to get our arms locked around and finalize this program. A couple of notes to make you aware of. If you remember, this process of that program started during the study phase that Gibraltar Design was working with the school district and administrative team, where we were creating the framework for what the elementary school improvements could be as it is interpreted or benchmarked by what it's doing for learning and opportunity. I really liked what I heard Mr. Dennis say a few weeks ago. No matter the address of the child in Lebanon schools, they will have equal opportunity for learning and achievement in either a newly renovated or new school that's modern and up to date. And I think that's a great vision for the school board, and we continued with that. The program, you could think of it as essentially finalized. There's a lot of details to go into that. There's more spaces than we listed, so we're finalizing those number of spaces, the size of the spaces, and what those spaces should do, whether it be the seating capacities of media centers or gymnasiums, or how a special needs area is going to be equipped. So all of that is what we would say as program. Tying that into what will happen next month, you'll see what I would call a first look of what is schematic design planning. You've seen diagrams of that. Mike Rosillo, our lead school planner, who's with me and on our team, he's been developing those, so he and his additional team members are further refining that, and next month we'll look forward to bringing you that first look. Think of this program as a way of guiding, measuring, is the plan meeting the goals that are outlined in this program as a benchmark, So that's how they start to go together. And I think I've mentioned before, the overall process is like scaffolding. If you're teaching, you have a base, and you put another piece of the scaffold, and we keep going up. So next month will be much more visual with site plan and floor plans. Yes, and then just to conclude by saying, by the end of this year, or in January, you'll see what we might call design development, which will put even more illustration and to what schools will be. And at that point, our goal in January would be for you to acknowledge and direct us to get our big lift of construction documents done and ready for next year's bidding and construction phases. So I'm here to answer any questions or any comments from Dr. Millman and Mr. Dennis. We just, again, really appreciate the input of your staff and principals. It's a busy time of year, particularly with the first segment of your school year. But everybody's been very generous of their time, and we feel good about where we are.
Let's say that behind the numbers in this table, there were diagrams of not exactly what a media center would look like, but to give some context to the principals about how many tables, what kind of the flexible space would look like. So there was quite a bit of detail when the principals sat down with the design team and Mr. Dennis and I. Assumed the board probably didn't want to see schematic designs of vertical cabinets and horizontal cabinets and countertops and things of that, at least at this stage, until we start getting some floor plans attached to that so you can start seeing what that space will look like. So this is the kind of the helicopter view, if you will, of a 10,000-foot view of what each building would be equipped with. And of course, subject to change based on budget, depending on scope. I mean, scope could change on what's in front of you this evening based on what we're able to put numbers to and fit within the budget. So.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions or comments at this point? Good. We appreciate the update and look forward to
Next
seeing
meeting.
things
Yeah, we keep going.
develop. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's our pleasure to be here, and I appreciate seeing the celebrations.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 7, consent agenda for staff matters. Dr. Mellman?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Keith. This evening for our classified staff, bringing to you 8 food service workers for your consideration this evening. So happy to do that. I know that Ms. Renner is as well. You'll meet her in just a moment. That's good news. A bus driver position, a custodian position this evening, substitute teacher, an instructional assistant at the United Methodist Children's Home, again, funded by Title I, as our responsibility as the home district, if you will, of the location of that private facility. So those title dollars are administered by our office. And a building assistant at Central to replace Connie Bruder, who we have recommended for the ECA and accountant position at the central office. So that is our classified this evening. Under certified, we do have a teacher at the high school who has requested a medical leave of absence, as you can see, from October 13th through November 11th. Elizabeth Sorges, the Joint Services Assistant Director, has submitted her letter of resignation effective November 23rd of this year. Melody Warnock has been with the district and the district's joint services for quite some time, is submitted her letter of retirement effective January 3rd of 2023. And Mr. O'Rourke is recommending Molly Murphy, who has really kind of become a permanent staple this year, filling these positions at the high school, to fill in for that medical leave that was previously requested. So mentioned at the high school. Under the ECA this evening, you will note the winter coaching positions listed in your background notes for both middle school and high school for all of those positions. I will not list all of that personnel, but it is all of the winter sports and those coaches, so they will officially be in your board approval this evening, should you approve that. You'll see Mr. Dungy has recommended Kelly Willman as the exploratory department head as well for the middle school. And I think that does it for all the personnel recommendations this evening.
Okay. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda for staff matters, including classified, certified, and ECA, please. Second? Any questions or comments on those?
I will just not vote on myself. I'll hold on that and let you guys vote on that. So just
Well, you are a volunteer.
I am a volunteer,
You
but
are, as well as my husband, so,
Absolutely.
but, yeah, no money changes hands.
no money changes hands. But I will let
Just
you.
to be safe,
Okay.
You
and
four
since you
vote
have a
on that.
quorum
Yes.
without you,
There we go.
there you go.
Okay, very good. That is noted. All right. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Consent agenda for business matters. Mr. Dennis.
Yes, so included in your packet is your monthly update that includes our two normal items, the first of which being our 12-month look at our month-end fund balances with actuals through September 30th and then projections through the end of this year. And then you have our breakdown of expenditures by type or by object. A few things to note on this as you look at it is obviously quite a big difference this September compared to last September in salaries and benefits. September of 22 was a 3-pay month, whereas September of 21 was a 2-pay month. And then actually quite a few discrepancies the other way with smaller expenditures in 22 compared to 21. But happy to address any questions about the financials that anyone may have at this time.
Board, any questions on the financial update? Okay.
All right. Then I would then request your approval of claims for the previous month in the amount of $2,294,143.97, as well as our 3 payrolls during that time of $1,941,568.19 for a grand total of $4,235,712.16.
Okay. Thank you. Board, I'd like a motion to approve claims for payment 56416 through 56604 and payrolls for September 30th, 2022 and October 14th, 2022. Second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Very good. All right, comments from the public. We do not have anyone signed in to speak, so we will move on to item 10. All right, back to you, Mr. Dennis. Resolution approval for the budget.
All right. Well, we have reached the end, at least our part of the end of the 2023 budget process. This goes all the way back to July, where we gave a budget presentation, advertised a budget hearing that we held in September, and now I come to you with a request for the approval of 3 resolutions, and I will follow the template that we have on the agenda tonight. So that would be the 3-year capital projects plan first. I'll go ahead and read that resolution and then ask for votes. It says this resolution is adopted by the Board of Trustees of the School Corporation, which is us, Lebanon Community School Corporation, whereas a capital project plan has been established, and whereas the Board of Trustees is required under Indiana Code 20-40-18-6 to adopt a plan for the capital project plan, and whereas the Board of Trustees held a public hearing on the plan, date, and place below, which was last board meeting, Tuesday, September the 20th. Therefore, now be it resolved that the Board of Trustees, that the plan entitled the 2023 Capital Project Plan, this resolution, and is adopted as the Board of Trustees plan with respect to the capital project plan. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees shall submit a certified copy of this resolution to the Department of Local Government Finance as required by Indiana Code 20-40-18-6. So that capital project plan was included in our hearing, and I would ask for a vote on that resolution now.
All right, Board, I'd like a motion to approve the resolution for the 3-year capital projects plan as read by Mr. Dennis. Second?
Second.
Questions or comments on that? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you.
All right, next up is our 5-year bus replacement plan. This resolution reads that whereas a school bus replacement plan has been established and whereas the Board of Trustees is required under Indiana Code 20-40-18-9 to adopt a plan for the school bus replacement plan, and whereas the Board of Trustees held a public hearing on Tuesday, September 20th of 2022, therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees that the plan entitled Bus Replacement Plan, this resolution, and is adopted by the Board of Trustees plan with respect to the school bus replacement plan. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees shall submit a certified copy of this resolution to the Department of Local Government Finance as required by Indiana Code 20-40-18-9. Again, this plan was included as part of the budget process in the previous months, and I'd ask for a vote at this time.
Okay, thank you. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the 5-year bus replacement plan as outlined by Mr. Dennis. Second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments on that? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right.
And finally, we've got the resolution for the budget. So the resolution for the appropriation and the tax rates that we will submit to the Department of Local Government Finance. It reads, be it ordained or resolved by the Lebanon Community School Corporation that for the expenses of Lebanon Community School Corporation for the year ending in December 31st, 2023, the sums herein specified are hereby appropriated and ordered set apart out of the several funds herein named and for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. The sums herein appropriated shall be held to include all expenditures authorized to be made during the year, unless otherwise expressly stipulated and provided for by law. In addition, the purposes of raising revenue to meet necessary expenditures of Lebanon Community School Corporation, the property tax levies, and property tax rates as herein specified are included. Budget Form 4B for all funds must be completed and submitted in a manner prescribed by the Department of Local Government Finance. This ordinance and resolution shall be in full force and effect, form, and from and after its passage and approval by the Lebanon Community School Corporation.
Okay.
Mercy.
Thank you for doing all that. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the 2023 school budget as read so eloquently by Mr. Dennis.
I'll make that motion as long as he reads it a second time, just so.
Can you go back?
Okay. I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All right. Any questions or comments on that? I will just say that we have had months now to look through this, so the lack of questions is not a lack of
No.
interest or lack of understanding. We've been through it.
I appreciate all the
multiple times
hard
at this
work
point.
that, yes, has been
Yeah.
put into it.
It is a lot of hard work on your part, so thank you, Mr. Wentz. So with that motion on the table, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, action items. Adopt resolution to determine needs for projects. Mr. Dennis?
Yes, so the following two action items will be in regards to our capital referendum bond issuance. A lot of this normal board action that is going to occur with these bonds actually occurred well before the referendum process started. And so normally there would be very similar resolutions that we have done for the 2022 GO here very recently that have been done well into the past. And so we are to the point now where we are actually ready to move forward from that. And the first item this evening is going to be the resolution that's determining the need for projects. And so this first resolution here basically states that we have determined that our, I'll say, normal revenue stream of property tax collections is not a sufficient amount of money to support the needs that we have identified that these referendum bonds will support. And so basically this then deems the need to move forward with issuing these capital referendum bonds in a manner that we have prescribed through the process of the referendum, the question that was asked on the referendum, and whatnot.
Okay. All right, thank you. Board, I'd like a motion to adopt the resolution to determine the needs for projects.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments on that? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Adopt resolution for approving form of lease, Mr. Dennis.
So this type of resolution is going to be unique to the type of bond we're issuing here. A first mortgage bond is different than a general obligation bond. And so this bond establishes a building corporation here in Lebanon that's called the Lebanon Middle School Building Corporation, as basically leasing our property back to us. It's actually a very old mechanism of debt issuance in Indiana, and it's been around for a long time. And it can be confusing and kind of odd sounding how this works, but it is a common debt mechanism that every school corporation uses in Indiana. But basically the form of lease resolution states that we have, drafted plans, and we've submitted those plans for approval, and allows us to move forward with leasing our property essentially in exchange for the bond proceeds.
All right, thank you. Board, I'd like a motion to adopt a resolution approving form of lease.
I'll motion.
Okay. Second? Second. Any questions or concerns or clarification on that? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. All right. Approval of appointment for ECA Fund Treasurer, Mr. Dennis.
Yes, so our financial positions within the corporation are approved at our reorganization meeting earlier in the year. Kelly Starkey has decided to retire and move on to her next phase in life, and Connie Bruder has been appointed to this position. And we do need to request approval of this, as it is a financial position, and it is always outlined at our reorganization meeting. Since there has been a change in that personnel to a different person, we just need to enter that into board record and approve her appointment as a position for our grants and ECA fund treasurer.
Okay. All right. Board, I'd like a motion to appoint Connie Bruder as the ECA Fund Treasurer.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments on that?
I've worked with Connie in my sorority, Tri Kappa, and she's been my treasurer before in various positions, so very trustworthy. I recommend her.
Great. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And going along with that, approval of use of the credit card.
So board policy does stipulate that anytime we issue a credit card to somebody, we do need to have board action on that. Connie would have access to a credit card, and we find here in my background notes. So Connie would have a $5,000 limit on her credit card for necessary expenditures that she needs to execute as a part of her position. And then we also do have a new facilities director. So Mr. Jim Walling has moved on, and Aramark has replaced him with Mr. Joe Howell. He was at the last meeting. He also has a credit card, and the limit for that position has traditionally been $15,000. And so since we have two new staff members receiving a credit card, we do need to ask board permission to allow them to use it. So I'll do that this time.
All right, thank you. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the use of a corporation credit card for Connie Bruder and Joe Howell. Second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, thank you. Okay, Mr. Martin, requesting increased wage for our food service workers.
I think I'm going to hijack his item.
Okay.
Kathy, you can go ahead and make your way up to the podium if you like. I'll introduce this portion of it. As you can see in your background notes, Mr. Dennis, Mr. Martin, and food service has been working on this, crunching numbers for the last few months, really, to bring a recommendation to you this evening is an increase in the current starting hourly rate, is an increase of $1.25 to our food service workers, and I'm sure they'll be happy, anyone involved with that, to answer questions about how they arrived at that. Also inserted an information item. We figured as long as we're talking about food service and wages, it'd be better for you to have the introduction this evening to Kathy and the team with Airmark, and kind of weave an information item along with that. So we've asked them to do that this evening and make those introductions to you, and then consider that wage increase at the conclusion of their information item. So take it away. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Moman, thank you for allowing us to be here. Board, thank you. I first want to introduce myself, Natalie Turner. I'm the district manager for the state of Indiana for Airmark, and we're super excited to bring Kathy Renner on board as our new food service director. And we also have an assistant food service director, Tamara Johnson. She felt a little ill tonight, so we thought it was best that she stayed home. So I definitely don't want to steal the show. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy and let her give a brief update of the first couple months of school.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. A little bit about my background. I come with you with about 25 years of K-12 experience, and I'm very excited to be here. I feel like I've settled it at home, and I've done my first 45 days. And so I gave you some information to look over, but briefly I just want to explain what I have accomplished in the first 45 days for the community. Realizing that we were so short-staffed, one of my first projects was to bring more team members on. So myself and two other of the staff members went to the homecoming game, and we had, with the help of Airmark Talent Acquisition, they made us a QR code, and we handed out cookies, and we were able to bring on 8 brand new team members. So I'm very excited about that process, and with doing this, we're able to feed more children and give them the nutrition and the attention that they need for that brief half hour that they are with us during the day. Another thing that I've accomplished, we do have our vending machines filled again, and we're using that coming as a revenue service. And a couple of other things that I have planned for the next 45 days, which will bring us up to Christmas break. I've started what they call the holiday pie sales, and the ladies at the high school will make fresh baked homemade pies, and we'll be selling them for $12 a piece, and we have a variety of about 10 pies. We're going to send out a very wide range email to let everybody know, and they have to pick them up at the high school at a certain date, and they're 10-inch pies, and we thought that would be some great revenue and bring some community also into the picture. The other thing that I want to be is able to open up the cafe, Tiger Cafe. So that's one of the things we're going to have a grand opening for with balloons. I'm going to be serving a coffee kiosk out of there for the students. We'll be using decaf, so it'll be compliant. But I think that will help, and we'll have meals to go out of there. And also with NutriSlice, I'm going to be introducing that to the district. And with NutriSlice, parents are able to go on and see what the nutrients of any meal that we serve. And this really helps children that are diabetic and are on insulin or have an allergic reaction to things. So that's kind of like a second barrier that we're able to introduce. So that I'm going to be introducing. And with that, students are going to be able to go online, and they're going to be able to order lunches. And this is specifically for like seniors that leave, so we'll be able to catch their sales. They'll be able to order it ahead of time and pick it up and go. So those are what I have planned for the next 45 days. And thank you for having me tonight. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
And then just one quick update too, in the back of your packet, there is actually some renderings of the high school cafeteria. We're going to go through a new marketing a series of signs and updating like test kitchen and a center plate. So want you guys to take a look at that, but we will be installing it. We were hoping to get it done over fall break, but with shipping, it got pushed back a little bit. So we're really sad about that. So we're going to try to pair it with the opening back up at the Tiger Cafe and then with NutriSlice as well. So we really do appreciate your time and thank you for your consideration for the update of raises. And I'd like to thank Mr. Dennis and Mr. Martin for the time that they've put into it.
Thank
as well.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being here.
Thank
It's
you.
nice meeting
Thank
you,
you.
Kathy. Thank you for coming, Natalie. Did anyone have any questions for them before they scoot away too fast?
No, I just want to say I was pretty impressed with the idea about going out to the
Yeah.
homecoming
Football.
game.
That's amazing.
I
Yes.
know.
Find applicants.
Good for
That's
you.
something that-
And you got
I
8
was
people.
involved.
8 people, that is,
Mississippi, that was the first cold night that she had here.
Oh, no. It was cold. Or wait, homecoming wasn't too bad. It was for Mississippi. Uh-oh.
are there still positions open, though?
Yes.
Yes.
We do. It'll be, an ongoing process, I think, but I'm just excited that with this input of the 8 people, we're able to open up more lines and offer more options to the students, and they're able to get through the cafeteria lines a lot faster. It wasn't a big, long line, and they're only given so much time to eat.
And do we allow volunteers, like I work from home, if I wanted to come and volunteer at lunch, do you allow volunteers?
We would gladly accept volunteers, so as long as the district is good with that, I think that, Ms. Melly's have been helping us, with a couple other volunteers, so as long as we're through the right process and we're on the right rates with that, we would gladly welcome that.
In those spots that you don't have to have the mandatory training, there are things that, and I suppose that could be worked out as well, so.
Can I ask one additional question? So you mentioned the ability to order. Is that going to be limited to seniors, or is that to, so that's regardless of what lunch period? I'm sorry?
It will be available to staff as well as seniors. I think that we should do seniors a priority to see how many come through before we open it up to everybody. Because I want to make sure when we open a new program like this, it's going to be a success. So I think that limiting it to seniors at first to see how successful it is before we go down the line, I think will be our best bet.
Okay, thank you.
And it is an app on your phone, just FYI, so it's a really nice, easy, convenient way for our families and our kids to be able to go on. And if for some reason we had an absentee problem or we got short-staffed again, you can actually go in on the administrative side and you can turn off that app. So teachers, students, whomever would not be ordering and then surprise at lunchtime they don't have it. So it'll be able to be administered on the back.
Go right ahead.
Would you mind coming back? I'm sorry to do that, but if anyone's watching or watches the recording later, they won't be able to hear you when you're back there.
Sorry, I just have a couple more questions on that. So, with the ability to, you're going to roll it out to staff and to seniors, but wouldn't that ability for across this, all grades allow you to better manage what you're preparing and not having too much made of something that someone's not eating or not enough of something that's not, that's not available, or just the ability not to be wasting food?
Yes, it would. I think by limiting it, though, we're going to able to do more of a grab-and-go concept. And I'm really trying to focus on the teachers that are limited, that have to go back to class, or the seniors that are leaving campus, that we're losing those sales on every day. The rest of the children we have going through the lines, it'll actually free up more space, so they'll go through a lot faster. I'm just looking to make sure that we give every student the experience.
Sure.
And the end goal is to have everybody be able to order on that app, absolutely.
Okay, great. I think that'll be good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anybody else? We don't have to do that. Sorry. That's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we appreciate the update, and back to where we started on the item was considering a wage increase by $1.25 an hour for our food service staff. So, Board, I'd like a motion to approve that wage increase.
I'll motion.
Okay. Second?
I'll second. So is this taking it to, ask a question, 13.75 an hour? Is that what it is?
That would be the starting.
That would be the starting, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Level 1, Tier 1, however you want
Okay.
to define that. Good.
Okay. Very good. Anything else? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks again for being here tonight. All right, recommendation of Lebanon Public Library Board appointment.
Thank you. I am pleased that Brittany Gunter, special education teacher at Harney, would like to continue as our representative on the Lebanon Library Board, and we said, well, thank you for wanting to continue. I'm sure the board will be grateful for that as well, so I'm bringing my formal recommendation for her reappointment to the Lebanon Library Board.
Okay. Board, I would like a motion to approve Brittany Gunter to continue as our Lebanon Library Board representative. Second?
I'll second.
I would just offer thanks to her because I know that does require meetings on at least a monthly basis, and it's great to have consistency. So if she's listening, we appreciate you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we have some policy updates. Second reading.
Yes, we have second reading policies this evening. Election appointment, members' eligibility to serve, employment of the superintendent, employment of personnel and extracurricular activities, staff gifts, staff evaluation, employment of personnel and extracurricular activities, staff gifts under the classified portion as well as certified, student concussion and sudden cardiac arrest, and coach training and references in IHSAA reporting as second reading this evening. As I stated in the first reading of these policies, these are all containing updates through either IHSAA regulations, Indiana code around these items, with the exception of 0142, election and appointment of members and eligibility to serve, realigning our policy with our current practice, and also eliminating the references to the exact townships and districts by name within the policy, and referencing the board-approved organizational plan that is on file at the state of Indiana that has to be approved by the State Board of Education. That way, future boards do not have to worry about their board policy aligning with the board plan that's already on file with the state of Indiana. So just kind of cleaning that up, cleaning up for current and future boards. So no changes to anything that we're doing, no changes to the makeup of the board, but that is one exception that we cleaned up kind of internally that wasn't related to an Indiana code change or something like that.
It
So
avoids future,
it just avoids future
discrepancies.
discrepancies when someone says, well, that doesn't line up with your board plans, like, oh, we missed it 10 years ago because we
The
didn't
other
line it
supersedes
up.
that
Yeah, your board plan is always going to be what you're required to follow. Mhm.
Okay. Great. So we have 9 policies for updates to vote on this evening. So I'd like a motion to approve those, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second? Second. Any questions or comments on any of those?
Well,
And
since he
again-
did such a good job reading resolutions, do you think he could read all
You
these
wanna read the
policies,
policies?
updates? I'm kidding.
Well, just kidding. Just to note, the board has had these in front of us for a couple of months now, so we've had time to consider changes and things, so. All right, if there are no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. All right, Mr. Martin, you have a couple of trips to present to us.
So I have in your packet a field trip to Cincinnati from the 7th grade middle school. Mrs. Shirley and Mr. Dunshee
Okay.
have made this request. The date is, my eyes won't focus. Proposal, nope. There it is, May 18th, with a return on May 18th as well. It's an out-of-state trip, so it does require board approval, but it is a same-day trip.
Okay. All right, so I believe we had the central trip first. So could you go
Yeah.
ahead and highlight that one, and then we'll vote on the central trip first, and then the middle school, just to stay in order of our agenda. Thanks.
Yes, Central, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Missed a page. I have a request from the assistant principal, Mr. Salzman, for May 23rd, 2023, with a, I'm sorry, May 19th, 2023, and same-day return, Louisville, Kentucky. And the grade is 5th grade.
Okay. All right, so let's take that one first. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the Central Elementary 5th grade trip to Louisville on May 19th, 2023. And you have details in your notes.
All motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then you have already highlighted the middle school trip. That is the next one we'll take. Like a motion to approve the middle school trip to Cincinnati on May 18th, 2023.
I'll make that motion.
Second? Questions or comments on that one? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Great. Sound like good trips. All right, upcoming meetings and events, fall break next week. We made it.
We made it.
Almost. Almost, it's Tuesday.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of our skis.
Our next regular meeting here is November 15th, and Thanksgiving break, November 24th to 25th. So hard to believe we are at that point in the school year.
Now we know where to get our pies.
And we can order our pies.
That's right.
Any other questions, information, business, anything? All right, no other business. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.